This is the craziest UFO phenomenon I've ever heard, and it came directly from my dad. It was the 1960s in Ethiopia. My father was just 9 years old at the time, playing with his best friend Gabriel in the fenced backyard after school. Then, in the blink of an eye, Gabriel vanished. My dad had simply turned his back for a moment. When he looked again, Gabriel was gone. Now, it's important to understand the context here. Both boys were from the top 1% of Ethiopia's political elite. My father's dad was the Minister of Interior, and Gabriel's father was a 4-star general. The house they were playing at had 10-foot brick walls surrounding the yard, and armed guards patrolling the perimeter. Gabriel didn't just wander off. He disappeared from one of the most secure places a child could be in the entire country. At first, everyone assumed he had just gotten lost. But hours passed. The guards, the boy's parents, everyone searched, and still nothing. After 48 hours, a full-scale national search was underway. Gabriel's disappearance was all over the news. Police went door to door with his description. He'd last been seen wearing his private school uniform, a white shirt, and brown pants. Helicopters scoured the countryside. Still nothing. A month passed, then 2, then 4. People began to lose hope, and many assumed the worst. Then, exactly 6 months to the day he disappeared, Gabriel reappeared. He was found standing in my dad's backyard, the same place he vanished from. He was wearing the exact same uniform, and it was still clean, as if no time had passed at all. He looked exactly the same. But that's when things got strange. Once they confirmed he was okay, the questions began. Where had he been? Gabriel calmly told them he'd been on a trip with a couple of nice men. He described being taken to a glowing white room with no windows and doors that disappeared into the walls. Other children were there from different countries. Somehow he could understand everything the other kids were saying, even though they didn't speak the same language. The men, who looked like white Europeans, spoke perfect Ethiopian. There were buttons on the walls. Press one and a bed would slide out. He remembered the room being peaceful. Then things escalated. He described being taken to a glowing, futuristic city, clean, full of strange people who looked like humans, but not quite. The city had flying cars and impossibly tall buildings. One of the nice men brought him to a tall tower where Gabriel would be staying. The man showed him a special room he could use for entertainment, a room that could change location. Press a button and the room would shift into an open field, a beach, even take flight. After what felt like just a few hours, Gabriel said he was returned to the backyard, unaware that 6 months had passed. No one believed him. Ethiopia is a deeply religious country, and many adults feared he'd been possessed by evil spirits. He was even taken to a priest for an exorcism. Despite this, my father stayed in contact with Gabriel throughout their lives. Gabriel went on to earn a doctorate in physics, and as far as I know, now works in Holland. But neither my dad nor I ever forgot what he said happened. This happened back in 1995. At the time, I was working as a pizza delivery guy. I was out on a delivery, and after dropping off the order, I was heading back to the store. While driving along the highway, I noticed 3 still lights in the sky, almost in a row, far above the horizon. It was evening, dark enough that the stars were clearly visible. My first thought was that they were planes near the airport, especially since the lights were much brighter than the stars. I figured they only looked still because I was moving and my mind was playing tricks on me. But over the next few minutes, as I continued down the highway, I noticed the center light started to rise. Then the other 2 shifted slightly, forming a triangle. I kept watching, trying to track this triangle of lights as it slowly began moving upward through the sky. Eventually, I lost sight of it behind some trees and buildings. I made it back to work completely confused. I didn't tell anyone. I figured they'd think I was crazy. Honestly, I halfway thought I was crazy. Like maybe I imagined the whole thing. I don't know why I remember this detail, but it all happened about a week before the Super Bowl. Might have been the Friday before, I'm not sure. What I do remember is sitting at home sometime before the Super Bowl, watching the Sci-Fi Channel. There was a show on about UFO sightings, and I wasn't exactly a believer. I'd always been skeptical at best. Then the show did a segment on triangle-shaped lights. They even showed a few clips people had captured on video. It was exactly what I had seen. I've never seen anything like it since. No one else I knew reported anything strange that weekend. Though, to be fair, I was a clueless kid in my early 20s, and I didn't exactly follow the local news. But I'll never forget that night. I saw a UFO up close, probably no more than 30 feet away. And while it was definitely strange, I'm pretty convinced it was military in origin. It happened one night while I was driving with my younger brother near a military base in Tucson, Arizona, not even 2 miles from my house. It was around 10 p.m. and the roads were empty. I had just made a left turn at an intersection when we heard it. The exact sound you'd expect from a hovercraft in a sci-fi movie. It started quickly but quietly, then grew louder as it approached from behind us. Whatever it was flying low, close enough that my brother leaned out the window and yelled, "Whoa, it's a UFO!" I hit the brakes. As we stopped, the craft glided directly over us, and that's when I saw it, clearly and in detail. The wings detached from the main body like something out of a Transformers movie, lowering themselves by about 5 to 10 feet, connected only by 2 long rods. There were 2 massive thrusters on each wing, with an even larger one underneath the central body of the craft. It looked like the craft was shifting into some kind of VTOL mode. While in this mode, it swung around in a full 180 over a 2-story building just ahead and to our left, missing the roof by what looked like mere feet. Then, the wings reattached into a triangular shape, and it boosted back over our heads at a truly incredible speed. From what we saw, the craft had 2 distinct modes. One with the wings attached in a sleek triangular formation built for high-speed flight, and another where the wings separated and extended downwards for maneuverability and vertical motion. The entire thing was pitch black, stealthy enough that we probably wouldn't have noticed it at all if the radio had been on. The only reason we even saw it was because it flew so low that the streetlights illuminated it as it passed overhead. In its VTOL mode, the body looked a bit like a stealth bomber, but with two long, sword-like structures hanging beneath it, likely thrusters, adjustable and angled at about 45 degrees. That's what led me to believe it was a military design. It didn't look alien. It looked engineered, like a stealth bomber from 100 years in the future, something you'd expect to see in a Terminator movie. After it flew off, my brother was so shaken up, he immediately called the police. It was an incredible experience. I'm not a UFO guy. Never have been. I don't follow alien theories. I don't watch those shows. I don't even like sci-fi. But after what happened to me last night, I feel like my world's been abruptly rearranged and no one warned me. I live in a rural part of northern Arizona, just outside Winslow. My house is on 5 acres, mostly scrub brush and dirt, and I like it that way. Quiet, isolated, dark enough at night so that the stars look fake. Last night, around 1:30 a.m., I stepped outside for a smoke. There was the usual chill that creeps in even during the summer. I stood on my porch looking at the night sky like I always do. It's a habit, calming, almost meditative. Then, I noticed a light. It wasn't a star and it wasn't a plane. I know what satellites and aircraft look like. They move steady, predictable. This thing was hovering, just still, bright white, not blinking, maybe a little bigger than Venus looks on a clear night. At first, I thought it might be a drone. We get them sometimes, bored teenagers or random surveyors, but this was too high, and too still, and then it split. The single light separated into 3 smaller lights, perfectly equidistant, forming a triangle in the sky. No sound, no movement, just hovering there like some kind of celestial geometry lesson. I put my cigarette out and just stared. Then, the triangle began rotating, slowly, counterclockwise, as if the whole formation was pivoting around a central point. Again, no sound, not a hum, not a buzz, just this weird, perfect silence. I pulled out my phone to record it and opened the camera. Nothing. A black screen. I thought maybe I was just pointing it wrong, but even after several tries, nothing would show up. I checked the screen brightness, toggled night mode, nothing. It was like the camera just couldn't see it. Then, the lights began to move. Still in formation, the 3 points began drifting south, slowly at first, then accelerating. Not like a jet. It wasn't a steady gain in speed. It was more like it jumped forward, like it was skipping across space. 3 quick jumps. Then it was suddenly closer, much closer. Now I could see something connecting the lights, a dark shape, matte black, triangular, but with rounded edges, massive, and I mean massive. It passed directly over my property, maybe 300 feet above me, completely silent. The stars vanished behind it, just a solid floating void. I don't even know how long I stood there, time felt elastic. I remember gripping the railing on my porch so hard my fingers ached. I wasn't scared exactly, more like overwhelmed. My brain couldn't file this into a category. Then, just as it reached the southern horizon, it just blinked out. Not sped off, not faded. One second it was here, the next, gone. I stayed outside for another hour, waiting for it to come back. It didn't. This morning, I checked the ring camera I have pointed at the driveway. It should have caught at least part of the sky, but when I went to scrub through the footage from last night, it was corrupted, just static, like someone had erased the tape. I didn't sleep, not because I was scared, but because my brain won't let go of this. It's like I saw something I wasn't supposed to, something that didn't care if I understood it or not. Now here's what's really messing with me. I told my neighbor about a mile down the road, and she said her dogs were acting nuts around 1:45, barking like there was a mountain lion on the property, then suddenly went quiet. I called the sheriff's office, pretending to ask about a noise complaint to see if anyone else had reported anything weird. The guy on the phone got weirdly quiet and said, "We're not getting into that stuff, sir." My phone, which was at 70% when I stepped outside, was dead when I came back in, totally drained. I don't know what I saw. I'm not saying aliens. I'm not even saying it was from space. But it wasn't ours. I know what drones and planes and satellites look like. This was different. I'm not here to convince anyone. I just needed to write this down.